That's a trick I'll have to remember.
Call to order January 20th, 2021, Curry County Board of Commissioners, general meeting. Quick roll call or introductions here. To my far left, Director Rickert. To my immediate left, Curry County Commissioner Christopher Pash. To my immediate right, Curry Commissioner John Herzog. To his right, County Council Huddle. To his right, Staff Jesuit. And welcome all. We have 4 people that are going to be offering public testimony. I want to give a little shout out to our staff and certainly to this board. We've had 9 meetings so far this month. I don't know if that's a record, but very well could be. It wasn't having meetings just for the sake of having meetings, but they were productive. I think the staff did an incredible job to get them well organized. And February, I believe, we only need to have 4 meetings, including workshops. And that's the first and third Wednesdays. So keeping with good productivity, as we had planned back in early December. So we're just talking before the meeting started right at this moment. Our country begins anew today. We're hoping and praying. President Joe Biden is being sworn in again as we speak. So as we meet for important county business, he is surrounded, unprecedented by National Guard, 26,000. I'm not sure what that says about our country, but we're very divided. We're very divided in our communities. And each day we have another chance and opportunity to come together. So praying for our leaders, our country, our peace, and our prosperity. So line of duty casualty report. I don't have one today, but I want to give also a shout out to our local veterans, VFW, Mike McNutt, John Bell, and I think former Curry County Budget Committee officer Bill Ostrowski. If any of you are at the north end of Gold Beach Monday, you saw about 100 flags on the west side of the highway, and it was just fabulous to see. So they put them up every year and they take them down. And it was in the memory of Martin Luther King. And he, like Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, personally, 3 of my favorite heroes. A dedicated Baptist minister. One of his tremendous quotes, in my opinion, was, "If we don't promise goodwill toward our fellow men, we will destroy ourselves." Historically, one of the most anti-violent citizens ever. The epitome of peaceful protesting. So I would though like to offer a moment of silence for all of our military heroes, our firefighters, and of course those we've lost in the line of duty for law enforcement. Thank you. Thank you again. So real quick COVID report. Curry County is up to 322 positive cases, and the big news is now we've included or added 3 new deaths for a total of 5. So since our first case in late April, 9 months, as a reminder for our communities to do everything we can to continue to stop the spread. Vice Chair Commissioner Herzog, do you have any quick comments you'd like to make?
No, sir.
Commissioner Pash?
No, I don't.
So next on the agenda is the amendment approval, or approval of the agenda, possible amendments. Do you have one first?
Well, I just wanted to say, I think Commissioner Herzog was going to do an introduction first so that we can get the
That's right,
back to
right
us.
where I was going,
Right.
and special introduction.
Okay.
And appreciate that. So what I'd like to do is put that under presentation, and then did anybody else have any agenda amendments that they'd like to offer? Okay.
No.
But we have a very special guest here, another special guest by the name of Charles Bartlett. I'd like to move him, Commissioners, from item 7A, action, or item 7D, excuse me, action item, to honor him with a proclamation and have him go right after Commissioner Herzog's introduction. And that way he and his friend Howard could drive back to Brookings. So can I get an okay on that?
Yes.
Yes.
So moving on public comments, there's been some interest on different agenda items and what that concept should be. And yes, go ahead.
Need to take I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Where I'm going is if we can also add, I'm going to make a proposal for a workshop, Commissioner, and so if I could get board approval on that. No, I think you might be right. We don't need to. We can't approve the agenda as amended. So if you want to make that motion, I apologize.
So moved.
Yeah, thank you.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Staff Jesuit.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
So the public comment sections that we offer to the public has always been very important to me. It's been my history to have maximum public access. And everybody knows, and I think this board agrees, and they personally feel very important, that we are absolutely here to serve the public. We do the one generally shorter meetings if we can. That doesn't mean compromise public testimony or even less productivity. But we also have to be reminded of getting our staff back to their other responsibilities, their offices, their other duties. And so what I would like to do, board, hopefully you can agree, and where do we have the mouse real quick here? My arms aren't quite long enough. Almost. There we go. I didn't pull any muscles on that one. This will just take a minute, folks. This is what I offered to the board, I think back on either the 4th or 6th of January. Slight different agenda approaches that we can, it's kind of an update. It's problem solving. It's moving forward. You know, I was pretty big on number 3, the opportunity to just simply declare a potential conflict of interest. Just takes a few moments. But we moved presentations up as early as we could, and I think the board generally agreed on that. But as far as public comment goes, what I would like to do is at the end of the meeting have citizens' concerns in addition to the agenda items that we're offering the public 3 minutes per person at the beginning of our meetings. But that's just my view. But I think a workshop could clarify some things, we could get some different ideas, and I'd like to propose that for February 3rd and make sure that the public has good access, is able to participate. But our meetings are, and you see this with other counties, you see it with cities, it's a general business meeting, and it's not necessarily the public coming in at the last minute trying to conduct or help the board set policy or the council, whatever it may be. But this would be 2 opportunities for the public, and yet I think we could probably come up with some different ideas and combine these 2 items into a workshop. So I'd like to have board agreement on that and see if they believe that that might be a good way to go.
That's to have a workshop?
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
Commissioner Pash?
That's fine with me.
So we'll tentatively set it for February 3rd. And, you know, normally the public doesn't comment at workshops, but I think it might be a good idea to add and even encourage public comments at that time and get that additional input, if the board is likewise okay with that.
Yep.
Okay? So let's go to our first presentation there.
Okay.
Commissioner Herzog.
Well, it's my honor and privilege to introduce to those on TV and those here in public our newly appointed county treasurer, Douglas Baker, North County resident, Port Orford resident for close to 9 years, is it now? Or?
That's about right.
Yeah, right around there. Has helped up there with different stuff, opportunities, financially wise, and it's just a privilege to have him on board. And I'll let him. He's right at the mic. He'll speak a little bit, but he'll be appointed for 2 years, and then it'll be his decision whether he wants to run at the next primary election in 2023. So, Douglas, it's good to have you. Welcome aboard. We're the two new guys. So yesterday it was the blind leading the blind. We took 2 trips to the county clerk's office, and but we got her done. He met some folks and took a lot of notes, and so welcome aboard, bud.
Thank you. My name is Doug Baker. Has been mentioned. I am succeeding Debbie Crumley as the treasurer. This is sort of a new venue. Usually in my positions in the past as controller, you don't have this level of notoriety. I think I was going to save this to last, but I think on a humorous note, had I known that I was going to get my own treasurer's parking space, I probably would have run for office sooner. My career started out, I moved to Port Orford from Virginia 9 years ago, of course, and in Virginia has been predominantly my professional, represented my professional career as a corporate controller in the private federal contracting environment. Once I took my first job in 1978, I became typecast as working for what was affectionately called back then as Beltway Bandits. Then with several jobs, and then upon retirement, I moved to Port Orford. And I would think that probably after like about several months, I got a little bit bored with retirement. I didn't know what to expect. So I got a position at Ocean Resource Team in Port Orford. It's in the fishing industry. Met some terrific people. That organization came to an end, and I left, and again got a little bored with retirement. And through a series of, I think, unusual but fortunate events, I found out about the treasurer's position, and here we are. As far as personal activities that I've been asked to mention, I would say at the top of my list is probably repair and maintenance at home, doing various things. Things happen. Second, I would say is that during the last 10 years, I've had a hobby that I've got very much into, which is anything having to do with espresso. And that it goes from roasting beans to purchasing espresso machines and of course drinking it. Cycling has always been a passion for about 35 years. I've cycled at different levels, basically being a club rider. I've raced for 3 years. I'm a Cascade Cycling Club member. We did the STP on several occasions. I've been all over the world doing that. It's been quite a joy. I would say, anyway, I am pleased to be hired for this position. I have met the people that I've met so far. I'm really enjoying working with you. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome again.
I look forward to his espresso machine. So maybe if you got extras, bring one down, and yeah.
Are you speaking for all of us?
Oh, no, just for me.
Sounds good.
As long as there's a little half and half, because I'm not a real coffee drinker, so I like a little cream. But welcome aboard, and thank you for that. And you don't have to stick around if you don't want to, but you sure can if you want to. So that's your...
And all 3 commissioners, I think will agree, we want to be accessible to you and help you every way that we can. Welcome again. So I see we have Goose Prairie Electric Chief Executive Officer in the room, so we'll get a chance hopefully to hear from you a little bit later on. Brent Bischoff, thank you. would you, Mr. Ware and Mr. Bartlett, would you mind coming up? Yes, I'm sorry, consent agenda?
You didn't do your public comments.
Nope.
Did you catch it too?
Nope.
Well, we're going to do the presentation, and then that was on the,
The public comments were number 4.
Yep.
Presentations number 5.
but we,
so.
we moved that, didn't we? Okay, so let's do the presentation so they can go, and then we'll absolutely jump on public comments. Thank you. Mr. Ware, Mr. Bartlett, would you come up to the microphone, please? We won't make you stand too long. These are a couple buddies. Mr. Bartlett, we're here to honor you today, and I won't read your story, but it was in the pilot back early in January, and we did not know we had 2 World War II veterans in Curry County, and we may find more that are still with us, and we're just proud to welcome you and honor you and be thankful and grateful for your service to your country. And we're glad that several years ago you heard about the great Brookings weather and you decided to move here.
Correct.
And I understand you just renewed your driver's license. Is that true?
I may have it and received it this morning. Howard brought the mail to me. I think I do have it, but I haven't opened it.
Okay.
So this board, I need board consensus that he's probably the safest driver in this room. Safe to say? Congratulations on that. So and Howard, it's been tremendous to work with you and the pilot in recognizing Mr. Bartlett. It's just a tremendous honor. Yes, sir.
I know riding with you in the past, he's safer than you.
I represent that remark.
Would you agree, Mr. Bartlett?
And I bragged to my wife, I've never wrecked a car, but I've sure dented some fenders. Okay. Again, we're just really glad to have you here and your story and the 2 meals per day that you had that kept you going, but it sure didn't put any weight on you, did it?
I have no reason why I've lived this long. I have no answer for it. I'm 23 days past my 100th birthday.
Amazing.
I'm a World War II veteran. I served overseas. I have no reason. When people ask how I've lived this long, I don't have the answer. So I don't have any more words of wisdom.
Well, we're going to be sending you a proclamation in the mail or to Mr. Ware, maybe even both. And it isn't every county, it isn't every day that you see and get to be close to and shake hands with a centurion. It's just, it's very special, and I believe and hope that the fresh air of Curry County has something to do with your wonderful health, and we wish you another 10 or 20 years, sir. World War II, an incredible time in our history, and thank you for serving.
I think he deserves a round of
How
applause.
about, yeah.
And standing ovation, yeah.
Somebody's got to get a
I
picture.
don't feel that well honored, but I thank all of you.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Okay.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, public comment. First on the list. Good Curry citizen Leonard Krug, please.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Chair Boyce and Commissioners. My name is Leonard Krug. I'm the president of the Oregon Anglers Alliance. And as you may know, we represent thousands of recreational and commercial licensed anglers, step volunteer groups, outdoor organizations, and Oregon businesses. I'm here today to speak about Senate Bill 592, Now, Senate Bill 592 proposes to eliminate the use of lead for all Oregon anglers. The bill also calls for the elimination of lead pellets for all types of hunting. We are requesting that the Curry County Board of Commissioners send a letter to our state lawmakers opposing Senate Bill 592. There's no peer review evidence to justify the elimination of lead for angling or hunting. We should not craft regulations based only on assumptions. Plus, passing this bill would have a huge financial impact to Oregon's economy. It would decrease tourism in Oregon by discouraging people from hunting and fishing in Oregon. It would also it also cost state wildlife agencies by reducing the sales of hunting and angling licenses, as well as the taxes that are derived from the sales of sporting goods. And it would cause the manufacturers to retool, which will ultimately pass the cost on to the customer. The very few alternatives to lead that we do have are much more expensive and overall less effective. Bill 592 would cripple our commercial ocean fishing industry in Oregon. Oregon commercial fishermen would be handicapped to compete with other state market prices. The bill's been presented before, and these are just a few of the good reasons that it failed. And finally, many of our businesses are struggling or have even closed due to COVID, so we would respectfully request that Curry County Commission urge our state lawmakers to use caution when considering any regulation change that would place further financial burdens on businesses and the hunting and angling public. So be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Krug, I've followed your work and your writings, and over the last 4 years, getting to know you, and if anybody has a balanced outlook on how to manage our salmon and steelhead and the sport fishing importance to the South Coast economy, great gratitude to you, and really appreciate you taking the time to give us comments today. Very helpful. Commissioner Herzog?
Nothing?
Commissioner Pash, you have a presentation later today.
Yeah, that's why I would have thought this would have gone along with the presentation, but that's fine.
You know, one more thing I might add is that when I say there's no evidence, everyone admits that lead is not healthy to ingest, but when I say no evidence, and that's with the National Wildlife Service and Association for National Wildlife Associations, what it gets down to, there's really nobody saying that lead's unhealthy for the overall viability of a population species. No one's recommending this kind of legislation be passed. That's the final bullet point. Thank you.
Almost hard to believe, isn't it? Mr. Byerland, did you want to wait till later on this, or did you have any comments?
I'll be brief.
Okay.
Is this the first time that it's ever been brought to in a bill? No?
Good question. Probably not.
Steve Byerland, Nasika Beach. The Senate Bill 592 is one of likely over 100 bad bills that are going to be introduced to the state legislature. When I was working in the legislature as a representative of the Oregon Guides and Packers, we had about 400 bad bills a year. But if nobody squashes these or make comments on them, they get through. And so it's important. Senate Bill 592 basically attacks the mission goals for the Curry County, sustainability and economic and so on. The fines that would be imposed by Senate Bill 592 for using a split shot, or a lead-headed jig out in the ocean that's 5 or 6 ounces, would be 364 days in jail. And up to a
That's not a misprint either.
Pardon?
That's not a misprint.
No. And a $6,250 fine, or both. Absolutely ridiculous. Recently, I'm not sure if JJ was able to get you a copy of the report that I got from the DEQ, Department of Environmental Quality, but it's dated December 18th, 2020, so just about a month ago. And it says that the waters of the Rogue River have no toxins in them, you know, that are harmful to human health. And the people that put this bill out cited lead in children causing brain damage and, you know, different things is growing. Totally in error for our basin. The Rogue Basin is one of the largest river basins in the state, with some of the most fishing pressure in the state. So to show this in our area, you know, is very important. And I would suggest that this report be posted on the county website, because it's a good thing and a settling thing for the public to know that DEQ has done these tests. And some of the sampling locations, one of them was only 7 miles up from the mouth of the river, you know, Bear Creek and at Merlin, and then and Gold Hill, they did testing, and that's what the report's from, you know. And so it's a pretty broad-based test. It's not that there's no toxins in the Rogue River, but there's not enough toxins in the Rogue River to cause an issue, you know. And but I think if we can get a letter from the county, and hopefully the county can look at maybe partnering with Josephine and Jackson County and use this as a base to show that you folks know that there's no scientific data to support doing this, you know. So, any questions?
Yeah, when you were a kid, could you bite the split shot with your back teeth?
Yes.
That was a
Yes, all
tremendous
time.
sign of toughness. I never could. Thank you, Mr. Byerland. Next is David Barnes, please.
Yeah, I was going to say something, but I'm going to change my topic here. I just want to voice my support and reiteration for what Mr. Krug and Mr. Byerland said. You know, if people don't respond to bad bills and bad ideas, a lack of response is support. Mm-hmm. And it's really important that we stand up as a county. You know, you talk about Josephine or Joco and Jackson. I'd like you to see you reach out to Coos and going forward north on the coast, because this affects them also. Reach out to their boards of commissioners and ask them for letters also. This is just, you know, I grew up the grandson of a fisherman, and this is just a bad idea. There's no science behind it. A lead shot is different than lead paint. It's a different composition to the lead. So, but again, I just want to reiterate and support what Mr. Byerland and Mr. Krug have asked for, and I hope this board can put together a strongly worded letter in opposition to this bill. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next public comment. Connie Hunter, please.
I'm Connie Hunter, and I'm a proud citizen of Curry County. And of course, I'm excited about the proclamation coming forward, and I hope that we can get that going on behalf of honoring our veterans, our service members, and their families. And I just want to say something real quick. I really appreciate the advocates in the room for standing up to bad ideas. I also agree with standing up for good ideas. So maybe y'all will stand with me on a few good ideas. One of the things that I'd like to bring forward in this year, 2021, is to highlight, even though the statistics show we have just over 170 female veterans in Curry County, I'd still like to look at female veterans issues in a way that is different. I'd like to ask permission to reach out to Miss Veteran America, who this year is highlighting women vets homelessness. And in so doing, she breaks the stigma for all veterans homelessness. And I'm going to reach out to her and try and speak with her just to get good information. But if I can get a virtual opportunity here, would that be something the board would be interested in having? And then one of the things I really appreciate the support of everybody that's been on the Board of Commissioners, even the last seated with Sue Gold was the emphasis and support for veterans and getting the services from the VA here locally. And I just want to give you an update. We do have a new Veterans Justice Outreach person named Linda Shannon, and I'd love it if she could come and talk to us, and I'll try and get her set up to go talk to Lipsick also. Our wonderful Will Watson has gone over to Eugene. He was our suicide prevention coordinator, and we do have a new VA suicide prevention coordinator who I have not met with, but I was alerted by Jana, who is the mental health director for all of the coastal area. And then we do have a new mental health social worker, Dan Abate, and he comes to us as two people, private citizen and VA employee. As a private citizen, he has an interest in housing, and as our VA mental health social worker, he's trying to fill the big shoes of Sheila Albers. But he does have some other staff to set up. And then just one real quick thing is my dad was a poll marshal on Super Tuesday during the Barack Obama, when Barack Obama ended up being elected. Now he's a very devout Republican. We call him Barry Goldwater Republican. But as a young person, he and I got into it because I had to work a campaign as part of a government project on the Democrat side. Anyway, my dad ended up being in the documentary of note called The Election of Barack Obama, by the people, the election of Barack Obama. He was interviewed, but he never realized he was going to end up in that. So even though we were separated, I know it was really funny. we had years of this. On the day that Barack Obama was inaugurated and they did the inaugural parade, my mom and dad were in Arizona. I was in Oregon, and we stayed on the phone all day talking together. So that was the example that we said in my family, you come together after the election. Thank you.
Thank you.
Connie Hunter, you mentioned Will Watson. We are definitely missing him, and so you also offered to bring Shannon in for a presentation. Any connection, if you can help facilitate that, much appreciated. Good idea.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I'm blessed to be in the room with you guys every day because freedom means a lot to us. And when we're going through this and talking about veterans, I cannot do anything but be humbled by our two World War II veterans, and that's what prompted me to tell the story about my father, who was a World War II veteran.
Much appreciated. Curry County Planning Director Becky Crockett, please. We're not going to hold you to 3 minutes, by the way.
I'm not going to talk more than 3 minutes. I have something really brief to share, and I'll hand it out. I just want to bring your attention to House Bill 2238. It was brought to my attention about 45 minutes ago. This is a bill that essentially would allow the state to take private property during the state of an emergency without providing just compensation to the owner of the property. It's getting a lot of discussion, and I just want you to be aware of it. It's something that I would hope the board collectively would object to when the right opportunities come. Essentially, the bill is trying to moot a legal challenge to the governor's COVID-19 orders that would require the state to pay compensation to businesses that have been shut down due to the governor's executive orders. That's the intent behind it. However, it's written so it's much wider than that application. Essentially, I'm getting comments like, we think the implications for wildfire, flooding, even a broad umbrella of alleged climate emergency could enact the governor to have the ability to take property as a result, and the identification of need for that private property without just compensation. So it's getting a lot of buzz out there, and I just think it's important to be aware of it.
Dr. Crockett.
Thanks.
You're going to be here for the workshop this afternoon, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll have more questions then. Thanks for your comments today. Nancy Sue Rose, please.
Nancy Sue Rose. I live in Nasika Beach. I want to again say to Court Boyce that I do wish you would stop you didn't do one today, but stop your hero speeches. Some of your heroes are actually criminals. I don't have time to research all of them, but this one here came to my attention. The 6 police that were ambushed in Harris County, Texas, were actually criminals. They were indicted on 17 felonies linked to deadly, botched raid, murder, drug payments, aggregate theft, etc. I don't think this is appropriate for the Curry County Commissioners meetings. Thank you.
Consent agenda. Was there any questions or any of the, I see we have of the 5 listed agenda items there. We have Roadmaster Christensen. Does anybody have questions for him, or we're okay with approving the consent agenda without changes? Commissioner Herzog?
I'm okay with it.
Commissioner Pash?
I don't, if I would have seen something, I would have brought it up previous.
So we don't, no questions for, we're gonna let Roadmaster Christensen off easy today, hey?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna we see you over there. Thank you. So those 6 items are A, amended minutes, emergency meeting, December 17th, 2020. Approve road department Vector truck rental from Owen Equipment for 1 month for 4 weeks for $12,950. C, approve road department with signature authority to the roadmaster for Dyer Partnership task order number 23 to survey and engineer the T turnaround at dead end of Lakeshore Drive. Task order cost is not to exceed $15,600. If you haven't been to Lakeshore Drive yet, highly recommend. That's a neat area there. 6D, the statewide transportation improvement fund biennium grant application for 2021-23 for proposed stiff expenditures. And finally, Umpqua bank account, add Douglas Baker and remove Terry Hanscom. So we're going to item 7A. Excuse me, go ahead.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
I thought we already did that with the agenda. No?
You just
Okay.
read this consent agenda, then we have to approve it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Staff Jesuit.
Commissioner Pash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item 7A, step increase discussion. HR Director Swift.
Good morning, Julie Swift, Payroll and HR. So my question to you today is, we had great discussions when we did the wage study and implementing longevity and all that kind of stuff. And the way we did our longevity in the past was based on the salary range that someone was in. It was a percentage, at 5, 10, 15, 20 years of that amount. When we implemented the wage study, Julie Schmelzer changed the way that longevity was done. So it's no longer based on tenure. So basically you're put into a salary range, you go through your 6 steps, at steps 7 through 10, you get a certain longevity rate, and steps 11 plus, you get another longevity rate. We've run into a situation where when an employee was placed in a salary range, she was placed at step 7. So she's in that first longevity range. And the way Julie decided those things was taking their current base salary plus longevity and putting it into the new salary range at a place where they would not lose money, where they'd get a slight increase. So we have a person that's at that longevity 7 to 10 range. She's actually a 20-plus year employee. So my question to you is, does she stay in that 7 to 10 range for another 3 years? Or do we move her into the 11-plus range and max her out? Which previously she was maxed out in the range that she was in before. So that's the discussion we need to have. Do we leave her there at 3 years? Because she's eligible for a step increase now. So do we just leave her and say, too bad, thanks for your 20 years, or do we move her into the next longevity range?
Well, I think it's an easy decision for me, a recommendation, the 11-plus longevity range. And thanks for 20 years of service.
John had a question.
And this will come up again in July with another long-term employee who's in the same situation. She's been here over 15 years.
Director Swift, we're only looking at one today, though.
We're
correct?
looking at one today, correct?
Thank you. Okay. That was my understanding.
Go ahead, Joe.
So the question I have is, so the longevity is that a step?
It is a step now.
Okay.
So it would take her from the step that she's in, that 7 to 10 step,
Right.
and put her in the 11 plus.
And then we have another one coming up. So how many other employees are in the 7 to 10?
I'd have to look, but I think there was only the two
Okay.
that were the long term like that.
And then are there others in the, and once you're in the 11 plus, that's it? Is that kind of the idea?
Yep.
Okay. So then the question would be, was that 7 to 10 intended to be, when she was put in there for the first year, was that intended to be a 3-year stay in there, or was it intended to be a 1-year stay in there?
Don't know.
And that's the question
That's
you're
the
asking
question.
the board to
Mhm.
answer? Okay. And then for other employees who are just going from 6 to 7, it's pretty clear?
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Huddle. Director Rickert.
And so I do want to point out that although we're just talking about one employee right now, this will set a precedence for all future employees, which there may only be one, but possibly more than that.
So you're thinking just one more that they're in a 7 to 10 year, but in that category, but they've actually worked years way beyond that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good clarification, both of you. So this is an action item, gentlemen.
I would make a motion then to move her to the 11 plus?
Yes.
11 plus
Longevity
longevity?
range, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Sorry,
Oop,
I do
excuse
have a
me, Councilor
question.
Huddle.
Well, it follows on a little bit of this,
Okay.
and also what Director Rickert said. This will come up again in July 2021 when we have a 15-plus year employee. So what I'm wondering if we're going to make, essentially instead of a case-by-case basis, if we're making essentially a rule that if we have an employee in what we call this longevity 7 to 10, and essentially this, you're asking this question because this employee's over 10 years.
Correct.
So if there's anyone else in there over 10 years, whether it's 15, 20, 11, that they move to the 11, is that the direction you're really looking for, not just on a case-by-case basis?
We could do that.
Brad?
Yeah.
I'd be comfortable with that.
So it's it's an interpretation of our rule and how our rule applies broadly, so that then when this comes up again, we'll just say, okay, you're over 10, and it's your step, and you're going to go to, you've been 1 year in this 7, and now you're going to go to the 11. Is that, and that seems to be the reasoning of the board. You've been here long enough, you've been here longer than 10, and you were in there 1 year, now you're going. Is that, so we're looking for, is that, am I being clear?
I'd be comfortable with that, yeah.
Okay.
I would amend my motion. Oh, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I
So
don't
yeah,
tell
we
you.
have we want to make it standardized for future similar situations. I think that's what I heard both you and Director Rickert comment on, in a sense. Commissioner Pash.
I'm just wondering, don't steps have to be earned?
Yes.
So who approves that process? They're
If they've received a successful or better evaluation, they get their step.
Okay.
And for longevity, I don't want to use the word tenure, but I mean it is a longevity recognition for their service. Am I correct in that?
For the most part.
But the evaluations are important, certainly.
Right,
Yes.
right. But when these schedules are redone, it took out longevity being so much a tenure, a time-related, service-related time. So, for instance, depending on how someone's salary fell, we have an employee who's been here quite a long time who went into a new range at step 3. So she has growth as far as step increases over the next few years. So it'll step, and then go into the longevity.
Anybody can answer this, but if we went on an individual basis, would it look like we don't? Could we be accused of being unfair, or that we're not, we're changing the policy as we go? Or do we need to just frankly look back to your original motion, Commissioner Herzog? Do we just need to look at each individual case and just do our best and the right thing there?
Well, I think if someone's been here for more than 10 years and they're in that 7 to 10, if they've just gone into the new salary study at that 7 to 10, that's where they're replaced. I think once they're my feeling is once they're up for a step increase, they would go into that 11 plus range if they've been here more than 10 years already. So instead of having to wait another 3 in that 7 to 10, they've already met their 10 plus. So that's what I would be comfortable with, provided they get the successful evaluation.
So based on that?
I agree. I would amend my motion to
have kind of a standard
include that, yeah.
Okay.
I'll second.
That was pretty, there's a whisper there. Did you second, Commissioner Pash? Any further discussion? You ready? Staff John, roll call, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Yes.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Swift. Letter of support for broadband bill, House Bill 2654. That was some good reading. Council Huddle, please.
Thank you. So the draft letter's in your packet, and it talks about this broadband bill. I actually think we have a guest in the audience who could speak more clearly about the bill and answer any questions, and then the letter would support it. Essentially, the idea is to provide broadband over electric lines and to allow the electric easements to include broadband, and that way it would allow this service to be given to rural counties. So I think I'll, if you could...
Coosker Electric CEO Bischoff, come on. Do you want to introduce?
Well, I don't. You can go ahead, Brent, but I'm going to declare conflict of interest and will not be voting on this recommendation by the board, just because I as a board of director on the Coosker Electric board, also on the Beacon Broadband board, so on those I will not.
Since he'll have no financial gain, that's not prohibiting him from weighing in or voting,
well,
is it?
Go ahead.
It's your choice, but...
Well, I was just going to say, the Beacon Broadband is a for-profit company, so Coosker Electric is a nonprofit, and so Beacon Broadband is a for-profit entity of Coosker Electric. So,
right. So it's not just him; it's him. Excuse me. So it's not just a person voting; it's the person voting or a company that they have an interest in, and so he's got an interest in. He serves on the board of a for-profit company, and so he doesn't want to vote on a matter that could affect the company that he sits on the board of.
Okay, but board participation doesn't equal...
I think that's a gray area, and I think in an abundance of caution, just staying out of the conversation, if he tries to influence it some way. So I think Commissioner Herzog's made his decision. It's his personal decision to make.
Thank you, Councilor Huddle. Thank you, Commissioner Herzog. Welcome again. You might want to adjust that microphone up just a little bit.
Good.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you as well, Chair Boyce and Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to come and address you this morning in support of House Bill 2654. If I could, I'd just like to give a little background. I was last here at addressing the board in last August, giving an update of our Beacon Broadband project at Coosker Electric with the goal to build a fiber optic broadband network that would extend to every single one of our Coosker Electric members, which is the whole of Curry County. And so we've made significant progress since that time in August. We have secured federal grant funding sufficient to make our Beacon Broadband project financially feasible. And we're now making preparations to begin construction in the coming months. And we'll also be looking for competent people to staff Beacon Broadband. Eventually we'll be at the point where we'll add about 15 full-time employment opportunities here in our local area. So a lot of exciting things going on. We are at the same time looking for every opportunity to reduce the cost and speed the timeline for our project. We've got a lot of positive enthusiasm in the community. Folks have really been excited about the prospect of Coos Curry doing this project. So that brings me here today, and we essentially are in a situation where our Coos Curry Electric, well, the fiber optic lines will be built on Coos Curry Electric's power line easements. And our current power line easements do not provide for broadband service within those easements. They are strictly electric easements. Now, some of our newer easements, we've updated the language, but I'm primarily talking about the vast majority of our older electric line easements. And we've estimated that it's going to cost our project hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of man-hours of labor in just updating those easements and getting those new easements, broadband easements, recorded. And that doesn't include the significant amount of time that it'll take for our local, our county clerk to record all those easements and her staff. So there is an overarching solution. This is a solution that's been employed in a number of other states in the nation, and that is the topic today, House Bill 2654, and that simply stated will provision broadband service within electric utility easements. And so while it essentially grandfathers broadband into electric easements, it does not overlook landowner rights and provides the opportunity. It requires Coos Curry Electric to make contact with landowners where we will construct broadband infrastructure, and gives them the opportunity to understand what we'll be doing, and then to seek redress if they feel that the new infrastructure would in any way diminish the value of their property. And also, best of all, this new bill does not cost the taxpayers a single penny. Really what it does is it helps to clear the path for broadband in our rural service territory. So just in summary, House Bill 2654, it is sponsored by our own Representative David Brock-Smith. We want to extend just a super big thank you to him for sponsoring this bill, and we'd also like to get the word out to Senator Hurd and get the county's encouragement to him to co-sponsor the bill. And if possible, we'd love to have the county send a letter of endorsement for this bill to all of the state legislators across the state. We are doing that at Coos Curry Electric and Beacon Broadband, and we will be initiating a grassroots campaign to get the members of the co-op involved in supporting this bill as well. So I'm here today to encourage and the County Commission to support this House bill and support Coos Curry Electric's effort to extend broadband service to all of our rural area.
Commissioner Herzog? Commissioner Pash?
Not right now.
I'm just going to make your job easier, and you articulated it very well. I would think that assuming we get board support on this and can move pretty quickly, this is one of those 2,000 bills in the on the House side of the legislature that probably has a chance to make most of the cuts. And so I'm very excited about this, really happy about Coos Curry Electric's involvement and expertise on this, and all the background work that you and your board and staff have done prior to get us to this point. So yeah, this is you know, Pam Marsh from Southern Jackson and Owens from Eastern Oregon. This is a big thing for rural Oregon, and especially Curry County, as you express there. So any other discussion, board? Council Huddle?
Nope.
Okay.
I just was wondering, as I sit and think about it, so you said that you're still going to reach out to the landowners and try and communicate with them about what's happening?
Absolutely. The bill, the language of the bill actually requires that prior to us building broadband infrastructure across our power line easements, which would be on their on an individual landowner's property, that we have to notify the landowner of our intent to do so, and it provides a 60-day window for them to communicate back and express concern, and if it's their desire to seek redress.
One more thing, I haven't read the language of the bill yet, but I would be imagining a possible legal challenge to it. So I'm just wondering, has that been addressed as well?
So, yes, it has. It's been vetted. You know, we've got sponsors in the legislature. The writing of the bill and the idea of the bill came through the Oregon Rural Electric Cooperative Association. We've had our legal counsel there vet that, and so yes, it has. And again, this sort of legislation, we modeled it after other state legislation that is passed in other states in the nation.
So the gist of the language of what this bill says, from what I understand, is that if you have utilities on property now, it will grandfather in the right to put the broadband service there as well.
That is correct.
Okay. I'd support that, yeah.
What's it, facilities means any line, wire, pipe, conduit, main pump, pole, tower, fixture, manhole.
As long as property owners are duly notified and have a chance to speak, that's all I care about.
Good point, Commissioner. Very good point. So if there's no other discussion, looking for a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that motion. Further discussion, I'd like, assuming we have an affirmative vote here, I would like board approval to go to the other 5 counties in AOC District 4, which of course would be Jackson, Coos, Curry, Josephine. And I'd like to get this letter done as quickly as we can and sent out, and including Senator Dallas Hurd and State Representative Brock Smith. So do I have board approval or consensus on that, or do we need to add that to the motion? Council Huddle?
Thank you. I had a question for the speaker. It sounded like, Mr. Bischoff, you said to send it to all legislators. Is that?
You know, that would be wonderful. Whatever level of effort there that the county is willing to do would be great.
I have that email, all those email addresses, but it doesn't necessarily, if we could, yes, that would be fine. They sometimes seldom get opened up in the overall scheme of things, but the more support we can demonstrate for rural Oregon and our own backyards, the better. Anything else? Roll call, please. Mr. Jesuit.
Commissioner Pash.
Yes.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Now, this is where I have a quick abstain.
Abstain. Oh. Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried 2-0.
Thank you again.
Very good. Thank you for your support, Commissioner.
We'll have something to send to you fairly soon, hopefully.
Very good.
Thanks.
Item, we're on 7E, correct?
Yep.
Well, it's
7C.
10 o'clock for break.
I was going to say, how long do you need, Commissioner? We've only been at it an hour, so could we do it in 15 minutes, or what would you like to do?
Well,
I think it's 15.
15?
Well, he's entitled to a break every 2 hours.
AJ has to have a break.
So I understand. I didn't know if maybe 10 minutes could go. Okay, so we're going to ask everybody to come back here 10 minutes after 10. Thank you. Recess.